folks, it's Nick Granville. So that was a tune of mine actually called Pablito's Chicken. It's from the album ReAMPED. That one. I haven't really talked about any of my music on this stuff so far. I thought, so today I'm going to talk about Tritone Substitutions, and this is a perfect example. You can get this album for free if you want, so it's not like I'm pushing to buy something or whatever. It's free on Bandcamp if you want. The most important thing is that you listen to it. It's one of those pay whatever you want models. It's with Benjamin Shepherd and Dylan Elise on drums, two great Kiwi musicians that are now based in LA. And Gary Novak engineered it, the master himself. Great drummer. So Pablito's Chicken that was, and it was called that because that's where we had lunch every day, was having chicken at Pablito's Chicken across the road. So tritone subs is what I talk about, and that's a good example of tritone subs. So what is a tritone sub? Well, it's something I use a lot, and it's a cool device to use in music. Again, I did a video the other day on how to play out. This could be seen as another way of playing out if you want. So I'm going to do this in the key of C. Could be C7, could be C major, whichever. But we'd have a 5 chord from that, right? Which is G7. Right? Going to C. Right? It can be any type of C major chord, it can be any type of G7 chord. If we go a tritone away from the G, we have D flat. Right? Or flat and fifth away is another way of putting it. Right? And if I play a dominant chord where that is, I'm now playing a tritone substitution. It's very easy to see. So I go to the chord that it is. I play the flat fifth away, and that's the chord you get. Often ends up just being a step up, right? So it's quite an easy one to see. Now the thing I've found with tritone subs is keep it simple. Because, for example, if I play a D flat 9, that works great. And if I look at it in relation to what a G chord is, because that's what the chord really is, G7 sharp 5, flat 5, with a flat 5 as well, right? But should I try and be hip and cool, and maybe I'm going to play D flat 7 sharp 9 flat 5. This complex chord, right? But really all I've done by putting that note in there is now made a G13, so it's actually more straighter than it was if it was that, right? And by putting the sharp 11 in, I've just put a G note in, which is G note on a G chord. So I find simple is best, like D9, D7, these sort of chords work really well. So now we know what a tritone substitution is. How do we use it? Here's a couple of easy ways. If we look at a 2-5-1, D minor, G7, C. And we can extend those however we want. You notice I played G13. Up to you what you do in terms of extensions. But the core chord is G7. Right? D minor. And on the G7, if I go up a tritone, I have D flat 7. They generally work best as dominant chords. And then to C. Now I have D minor, D flat 7, and C. Right? It's a cool 2-5-1. And I'll use them when I solo. I use them as chords as well. We were often taught that, if you're playing under a soloist and it's not really happening, nothing's happening, just to light a fire underneath the soloist. Otherwise, that was a cool way of looking at it. Light a fire under someone. And that's one thing I'll use that, maybe it just needs a little bit of a push. So just creates a little bit of tension, there with arpeggios, it spells it quite clearly, doesn't it? But that's a good sound. Another one that's quite common that I use is like on a 1-6-2-5 turnaround. So C major, A minor, 6, D minor the 2, and G7. So on the A, let's go up a tritone to E flat. Now we have I could also use it on the G7. So now we'd have C major, E flat, 7, D minor, D flat 7. So you can see there's a heap of possibilities with that. On the D minor chord, I could play A flat, the tritone away. So now we have C major, E flat 7, A flat 7, D flat 7. Just similar to that Coltrane turnaround. I played D minor there, I'll do it again. And as you can hear, they're pretty cool and kind of interesting as it is. So on that tune that I was playing at the beginning, Pablito's Chicken, it's a C7 sharp 9. Next chord is an E flat 7 sharp 5. And then it goes back to a C7, right? It's kind of like a blues, but it's not really a blues. It's 10 bars, and that second chord being like a minor third up rather than a 4 chord. It's a little unusual. So C7, when I go to the E flat, I'll often approach it with a D flat leading back to the C, right? Which is the tritone of the G. So there. Right, and then that's the top of the form again. So it's an unusual tune in that sense. I'll give you an example on the play out. But if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to my channel. I post every day on YouTube. As I mentioned, my name's Nick Granville. I live in Wellington, New Zealand, and I'm a session musician. I play with all kinds of people. I'm an artist, recording artist. I've put out 6 albums now, I think it is, of my own. I've played on heaps of albums of other people's, TV, documentaries, films, all that kind of stuff. Do music theatre gigs. I've done all the major ones, so I'm coming at all this stuff from a professional's background. Yeah, so anyway, I'll play you out with some examples over that track we just heard. Thanks for watching. And here. Here. And here.